If you don't have your DSLR or mirrorless camera, the next best camera on you is your smartphone, right? Well, there is one kind of in-between camera to consider. It's the point and shoot camera. In this video, I compare the photos and videos of my iPhone 11 Pro Max with the Sony ZV-1F. We're gonna find out how similar yet how different the quality of the images are. The first half of this video will talk about video, and then photos afterwards. To start things off, I'll play a video sequence. Half of it will be one camera, and the second half will be the other. So try to guess which one's the iPhone and which one's the Sony. Okay, so if you guessed iPhone for camera A, you're right. And then of course, the Sony for camera B. I decided to shoot both of these videos in automatic to try to keep it fair. Of course, you can get the most filmic look with the standard exposure settings from each of these, but I wanted to find out what I could get with just the bare minimum from both of these. Although my iPhone may not be the latest, it still presents more dynamic range, preserving details in the darkest parts of the images, as well as the brightest. The ZV-1F may not do this in auto mode, but you can still set the exposure compensation if you know how to use it, at least having a little more control with your exposure. Alright, now for photos. We're comparing the iPhone 11 Pro Max's 3 different lenses to the ZV-1F's one single lens, zoomed in using Sony's clear image zoom. Like the video sequence, these photos were not edited. For the wide angle, I zoomed into 0.6 instead of the default 0.5 angle for the iPhone, just to try to match the framing of the ZV-1F. Similar to that of the video comparison, the dynamic range is evident in the iPhone, but you can see the Sony's 1-inch sensor excel with sharper detail and much bokeh. In our next level of comparison, I have the iPhone at the normal field of view of 1.0 and the ZV-1F at 1.5x. Clear image zoom. This is a more mid-range focal length. As you pixel peep, you'll notice that there's more clarity and detail in the left in the iPhone versus the Sony on the right. Yeah, there's still bokeh in the Sony, but it doesn't look as pleasant when you see all the details falling apart in comparison to the iPhone. Keep in mind, this iPhone 11 Pro Max has a dedicated lens for this shot, versus the Sony, which is zoomed with its clear image zoom technology. For the last comparison, we have the iPhone at the 2x zoom and the ZV-1F at 2x zoom as well, via the clear image zoom. Forgive my poor exposure for the Sony, however, so much of the same results from the mid-range photos are reflected here. When it comes to detail and clarity, the iPhone's dedicated tele lens outshines the Sony's clear image zoom at 2x zoom. After reviewing the photos and video, the Sony ZV-1F looks much more pleasing with its contrast, detail, and bokeh when you're just shooting without any zoom, and you're comparing that to the iPhone 11 Pro Max's ultra-wide lens. However, if you're starting to shoot more mid-range to telephoto range, this is where the iPhone beats the Sony in terms of detail and clarity. Ideally, the Sony is for vlogging by sharing your POV and also pointing the camera at yourself. You can do this with the iPhone, but also mind that the best images come from the back of the camera, not the front-facing one. You may have the advantage of 3 different lenses, but only the ultra-wide lens can almost guarantee that you got the framing correct when you're pointing it at yourself. In terms of usability, which one do you prefer? A dedicated camera or just your phone? There's no doubt that phones these days are getting very good in terms of image quality and being able to show off its competence in dynamic range and having dedicated lenses for different focal lengths. Yet, the point and shoot cameras are able to pull much sharper details and better natural bokeh as opposed to software imposed bokeh in phones. Either way, both of these cameras are great when it comes to documenting the moment while still being able to maintain a low profile and being easy to carry. If you want a dedicated camera and are mostly going to shoot in ultra-wide mode with occasional zooms, the Sony is more up your alley. However, if you care more about the quality of your image and having 3 different lenses in your pocket, despite possibly having limitations with storage, then the iPhone is still solid for you. Click over here to see my full review of the ZV-1F. But if you're looking to create better images, watch this video where I teach you how to compose your shots. Thanks again for watching. Now go out there and shoot for the life that matters. See ya!